Hey there. Good to see you again. Just a, I hope, quick update on what's going on. The backhoe here sits, and that's unfortunate because it's in great condition right now. And the engine cranks right up. The hydraulics are strong and smooth. They'll do the trick. Tires are holding air. Everything's good. But it sits. And it sits because I don't have permission to move it in a fashion. So this video is a little bit about just a sort of an update and just a little way of telling you kind of what's going on and why I'm not making any progress. And the issue is one of permits. It's a beautiful day, by the way. This is late February. It's absolutely gorgeous. We're on our way to a daytime high of probably 85 degrees or so, which is kind of where we've been for the last 3 months. But it's a little breezy, so I'm hoping that that the built-in mic on the camera isn't getting blown away, quite literally, I guess, by this breeze. But anyway, the issue is one of permits. And here in Puerto Rico, if you're going to do anything to your land, you need a permit, and I'm not used to that. So, coming from Virginia, if I wanted to dig in my property, heck, there was a point where I rented a skid steer, a little bobcat or whatnot, and did a lot of work with that. Didn't need a permit for that. If I want to cut down trees, I cut down trees. In fact, I was somewhat infamous, I guess, in my neighborhood for that. But here, nope, you can't do that unless you have a permit from the Department of Natural Resources, Recursos Naturales here, or DRNA locally. And okay, I'm frustrated by the process, but I understand it, and I'm fully on board. I swear, because there's quite a difference between Puerto Rico and Virginia. For example, I can't dig anything. I can't break ground here without a permit. And again, in Virginia, that wouldn't have been an issue, but here it is, and it's an issue here because, there may be sea turtle nests here. In fact, I got 400 feet of waterfront, so yeah, I get it. Fine. I'm happy to. I understand and happy to get the permits. Wonderful. Even the trees kind of make sense to me. The reason here is there's a particular tree that is protected, and it is a tree that is very slow growing, has very dense hardwood, and traditionally it was used to make the pilon. And the pilon is a mortar and pestle, really, that you use to mash plantains so that you can cook mofongo. And my understanding is this tree was used by the Taino Indians. So it is the traditional way of preparing what is the traditional food of Puerto Rico, mofongo. If you come to Puerto Rico, gotta have the mofongo. But so the short of it is this tree has been over harvested, and in part because mofongo is so tied to Puerto Rico's identity. I'm watching the camera shake there. Sorry about that. It's up on a tripod, and the camera up top makes it a little top heavy, and I'm worried about the noise from the wind. But because mofongo is so tied to the identity of Puerto Rico, and the pilon is tied to the mofongo, these pilons are commonly sold in tourist shops. So this particular tree has been over harvested, and as I said, it's very slow growing, so it's, I guess, endangered. We've got dozens of them here on the property, and they're beautiful trees. They're lovely trees. So I wouldn't take them down anyway. The only trees that I want to take down, I think, the only trees I want to take down are the ones with the thorns. These are acacia trees. They've been imported to Puerto Rico from Africa. They are, I believe, considered invasive. It's certainly invading my property, but I gotta have the permit in order to take down any tree, because the DRNA wants to make sure that I'm taking down the invasive trees and not disturbing the ones that are protected. And again, I get it. I kind of wish it was a little easier. I'd be happy if, for instance, there were massive fines, and there are massive fines for taking out these protected trees, and they would just let me go, okay, in any of these acacia trees, take them out. But it doesn't quite work that way. In fact, I went to the office, the local DRNA office, to try and get a permit so that I could run my backhoe here and clear out my driveway. And as is usual, the person working there was just delightful, absolutely as sweet as could be. The receptionista there was just very sweet, very kind, and unhelpful. I'm not sure why, in truth, but she didn't speak much English. I did okay, well enough with my Spanish. She found out where my property was. She understood very clearly that I was trying to create the driveway here, that I would need to take out a few trees. And then she went and talked to somebody and came back and essentially said, no, we can't give you a permit. You need to hire someone to get the permit for you. And that's really the way things are done here on the island. For permits like this, it's not uncommon that you would get an engineer to do this. This boggles my mind, but that you would have someone who is trained as an engineer whose job is simply to go to the local government office and get a permit. I mean, that seems to be a waste of their training and their expertise. In a similar vein, there are no notary publics on the island. They don't exist. They're lawyers. You can only get a document notarized if you go to an attorney and have the attorney do it. I think it's a waste of an attorney's time, but that's how it works. So I could go to an engineer and get this, or there are folks on the island who are in the business of negotiating the bureaucracy, and they are known as a gestor. And the gestor is a kind of a fix-it guy, someone who knows a particular bureaucratic office, knows the process, knows the people, and can actually get the things done in a timely fashion. And you may, if you're Puerto Rican and watching this, you're going, yep, you need a gestor. If you are not, you may be watching this and you may think, Warner, they're sort of jerking you around. The locals are able to get this done, and they're doing this to you because you're an outsider. No, that's not the case at all. Patty and I got, when we brought our Tesla in, we got everything done on our own. It was a little bit painful, a little bit difficult, but we managed it. We were able to transfer the title. We were able to get our driver's license and all the rest. We were able to do it. But it was a burden. We have subsequently encountered other bureaucratic offices, such as the DRNA, and it's just been a brick wall. And the locals will hire these gestores because it's a brick wall for everybody, and so they're willing to pay a little money to somebody who knows the people, knows the process and all the rest, and is able to get the job done, because otherwise they don't want to spend the time, they don't want the headaches and the hassles. So Patty and I are now looking for a gestor to help us with Department of Natural Resources, DRNA, permits, so that I can get this thing going and actually get the work done that I need to get done. We're struggling with that. We're becoming more and more plugged into the local community here, which is nice. And it's part of that is our increase in Spanish, but part of it is just living in the community and going to church and shopping and whatever it is. So we're learning about these things, and we're looking for recommendations. If you are a local, if you're here in Puerto Rico, particularly if you're in the southwest corner of Puerto Rico and you know a gestor who can help me out with DRNA permisos, drop a recommendation down in the comments. That would be lovely, or contact me directly if you'd like. As always, like, share, subscribe, all the rest of that nonsense. And again, if you're in Puerto Rico and you've had these problems with the DRNA, again, misery loves company. Let me know. I mean, it's just we still love it here. We absolutely do. But I got to tell you, the bureaucracy is just a nightmare. In all honesty, Patty has gotten so frustrated that she's actually said, I don't know. I'm thinking this is so bad. You know, I may not want to be here, and I have to keep reminding her. Look, we need a permit. That's all, right? We got to get through this process. We get the permit, and that's it. You know, we need the title for the car. We get through the process. That's it. So, you know, it's sort of one and done. Okay. You know, and we're reminded that, you know, it's February and it's 85 degrees and absolutely beautiful, and that the people, although not particularly helpful, are just as sweet and pleasant and kind as can be, and understanding, because they too suffer from the same sorts of things that we do. So, anyway, once I've got a permit, I'm good to go and ready to go. I'm not moving this thing until then, because I am an outsider, and the last thing I need to do is do something without the proper permits. One of my friends here said, "Oh, in Spanish we have a phrase." He gave it to me in Spanish, and he says it means it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. And I said, "Yeah, we have the same phrase in English, but no, that's not good advice for me. I really need to make sure all of my I's are dotted, my T's are crossed." So. It's a big paperweight for a while until we can get these permits. So if you've got helpful advice, if you've got recommendations for them, again, let me know. Otherwise, keep your fingers crossed, pray for us so that we can get going. But until then, you know, it ain't too shabby. See you soon.